in Matthew chapter 13, and every syllable of it should make the comfortable churchgoer tremble. Jesus said the kingdom of heaven may be compared to a man who sowed good seed in his field. But while his men were sleeping, his enemy came and sowed weeds among the wheat and went away. So when the plants came up and bore grain, then the weeds appeared also. Notice where the enemy works. Not in the open field of the world where sin parades itself without disguise. Not in the bars or the brothels or the gambling dens where wickedness wears its own name proudly. The enemy sows his counterfeit inside the field of the kingdom, inside the church, inside the fellowship, inside the community that bears Christ's name. The tares do not grow in a separate garden. They grow right alongside the wheat, so close that their roots are entangled, so similar in appearance that pulling one risks destroying the other. This is the most dangerous deception the devil has ever engineered. He does not need to keep you out of church. He only needs to keep you unconverted inside it. He does not need to make you an atheist. He only needs to make you a counterfeit Christian, one who looks so much like the real thing that even you cannot tell the difference. And there you sit, week after week, year after year, growing in the same soil, receiving the same rain, surrounded by the same wheat, and yet producing nothing that the Master will gather on the last day. I have said it many times, and I will say it until my voice gives out, the most dangerous place in the world is not the brothel or the gambling house. It is the church pew occupied by an unconverted soul who believes himself saved. The atheist knows he is far from God. The open sinner makes no pretense of holiness, but the tare among the wheat has convinced himself that proximity to godliness is the same as possession of it. He draws warmth from the faith of others and mistakes it for his own fire. He absorbs the language of Zion and assumes that speaking it means he belongs there. He has heard so many sermons about grace that he has inoculated himself against the very grace those sermons proclaimed. The tare does everything the wheat does except the one thing that matters. It bears no fruit. It has no life of its own. It is sustained by appearance, not by the root of regeneration. When the wind blows, both wheat and tare bend the same way. When the rain falls, both receive it. When the sun shines, both stand tall in the field. But when the harvest comes and the sickle separates what is real from what is counterfeit appearance, will no longer be enough. The farmer does not examine the leaves, he examines the grain. And the tare, for all its impressive height and convincing resemblance, has nothing in its head but emptiness. You may fool your pastor, you may fool your small group, you may fool your own conscience, but you will not fool the harvester. And on that day, the only question that matters will not be what did you look like, but what did you bear? Let me press this further because I know the human heart and its endless capacity for self-excuse. You may be thinking, surely this does not apply to me. I believe the right things. I attend faithfully. I have given money, served on committees, led small groups, even shared the gospel with others. But consider the words of our Lord in Matthew chapter 7. Not everyone who says to me, Lord, Lord, will enter the kingdom of heaven, but the one who does the will of my Father who is in heaven. On that day, many will say to me, Lord, Lord, did we not prophesy in your name and cast out demons in your name and do many mighty works in your name? And then will I declare to them, I never knew you. Depart from me, you workers of lawlessness. Do you hear that these were not passive observers? They prophesied. They performed exorcisms. They did mighty works. They had ministries that would have impressed any modern church board. Their spiritual resume was spectacular. And yet Jesus looked at them and said those three devastating words, I never knew you. Not I once knew you and you fell away. Not I knew you, but your works were insufficient. I never knew you. There was never a living relationship. There was never a true union. The whole thing from beginning to end was a performance that heaven never recognized. If that does not make you stop and examine yourself with fear and trembling, then I do not know what will.